Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Datagaps webinar. On behalf of everyone at Datagaps, I would like to thank you all for joining us today as we present the latest innovations in our DataOps Suite version 2026.3.0 release. I am Raj Mohan, Associate Product Manager at Datagaps, and I'll be your host for this session. In this webinar, we are excited to share how Datagaps continues to help organizations to build trust in their data through advancing data quality and validation, strengthening data observability and governance, and also by expanding AI powered automation. Now, in the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in our Q&A section and we will address them towards the end of our webinar. Now, with that, we'll get started. Joining us on the panel today, we have Ramesh Kovuru, Product Manager at Datagaps, and Pradeep Napa, also a Product Manager at Datagaps. With that, I would like to hand them over the stage. Ramesh and Pradeep, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Raj, for the introduction. Everyone, hi everyone. Welcome to product update webinar of Datagaps DataOps Suite version 3.0 of 2026. Let me take you to the agenda first. So we broadly divided the updates into platform and product updates. First, we'll cover the platform updates and then we'll go to the product updates. Under platform, we have different sections where we divided into sources, pipelines, Agentic AI enhancements, which we developed as part of 3.0 version. So let me walk you through each one of them, and I'll be switching the screens to demo you how you can make see these things or these features in the application as well. Okay. Let me go through the first section. The first enhancement as part of 3.0 was the ability to supporting of Git to mapping manager, version control of mapping managers through Git. So traditionally, Datagaps supports repository as a source of truth where we have everything stored and all. So we introduced Git as a version control mechanism where user can work with different containers with different branches and can have different changes either in local or in the remote. So a container can be mapped to a branch and user can work and pull the changes to one branch to the branch using Git operations. And if they wanted to migrate the stuff from one container to other container, they can use the Git branching strategy. So as part of that enhancement, so mapping manager is one more feature which is extended in supporting Git as part of 3.0. So this improves your collaboration on multiple users working within same same container with different branchings, and it reduces the deployment risk and all these things. This helps the end users in version controlling the stuff as well. And moving on to the second one, so we have extended our support to Google Vault as well. So till now we support HashiCorp and few other vaults. I'm like AWS Secret Manager and few other vaults as of now. Now we have extended that support to Google Vault as well. So wherein your database passwords or your connection details, which can be stored in your Secret Manager, and we will pull it on demand. So this helps in rotation, and everything will be taken care by your admins, and we'll just pull it on demand. Whenever it is rotated, there's nothing to do inside Datagaps. Everything will be handled in the vaults. Whatever the latest details, will make use of it through Vault connection and will execute the flows and all. So moving on to the next item. So this is one of the requirement came from a couple of customers where they wanted to manage containers, but not having access to what we say like creating of data flows or creating of data models and all this stuff. They don't want that particular user to handle. They just want to just manage the container, like access, provide access to these containers for so and so users. And let's say how this helps, right? If let's say I'm a container admin role, if I have access for 5 containers, I'll have full flexibility with these 5 containers to whom I can assign, whom I can revoke, what features I can assign to the respective users to create or manipulate over those containers. I'll be having only flexibility in doing those 5 containers. This helps in defining teams, or within data gaps you can segregate as teams and stuff like that, and unauthorized changes and all can be avoided using this feature. So, and one more good thing I would like to say is this role is a free role where you can create n number of config admin users within data gaps. This doesn't get into any of building things. Okay, so that covers the sources and governance part of platform updates. Let me move on to the pipelines and reporting structure. So this is one of the coolest feature which we where we can have folders for pipelines. So till now we never used to have folders for pipelines. The folder concept is only limited to data flows and DB flows in the product. So now we have extended that flexibility to pipelines also, where user can segregate their pipelines according to their use cases or their project timelines or their sprint structures, everything, and the maintenance and the navigation and things can be easily handled through this folder structure within pipelines. And moving to the next item, so the selective rerun of pipeline tasks. So this previously how we used to have is like there will be an option to rerun a pipeline whenever there is any failures or any errors or any, let's say, combination of both. You used to have a flexibility to rerun the pipeline. So what it does is it used to rerun every fail. Let's say if you select a trigger like execute failed tasks, then all the failed tasks, irrespective of how many it has, it used to execute. Now we gave a flexibility. So even though you wanted to rerun failed, we will have a flexibility to select what exactly the failed ones you have to rerun. So this will give you the flexibility of reducing the infrastructure cost, unnecessary runs, so that the team can focus on what really they want to rerun. So that flexibility will come with this feature. Let me take you to the application and I'll show you how this appears in the pipeline. So this is how the landing page of Datagaps looks like, as I think majority of the people are aware of this. So we'll have a lot of menu options here. So this pipelines is one of the critical piece here. So you can see, right? So these are all the folders. Like you'll have enough flexibility to create a new folder, or you can create a subfolder under a folder. So there will be options to create n number of childs as well within a folder. So that's how you can create and you can segregate your pipelines under each folder accordingly. Okay, so if you wanted to see all the pipelines, you can just click on the home folder, which brings in you all the pipelines. And so however you want to segregate, you can do that. Even you will have flexibility to let's say I have created a pipeline by mistake in a different folder. I can move it by editing the pipeline. I can move that pipeline from one folder to other folder as well. That flexibility will be there, and that segregation will come into picture. Okay, and when I come to the other item which we discussed, right, the selective rerun option. So let's say this is how it looks like. So whenever the pipeline has run, which is completed, and it has some tasks failed or errored, if you wanted to rerun those, you will have an option, right? Error. Like previously, this is how it used to be there, like only error tasks. So which initiates all the error tasks to run, or if the combination and according to the selection what you made. Now we have given one more flexibility on top of it, wherein whatever the event you triggered, we filter with that, and you can simply go ahead and rerun with one click, which automatically selects all the reruns or failed ones. If you want to dedicatedly select only one, okay, let's say these two got error, I just only want to run this one. I can just simply make a selection and I can just click on rerun. Only this particular task will get rerun. That's one more flexibility we have added here as part of 3.0, guys. So moving on to the next item on the platform side is like auto killing of ideal Kubernetes clusters. So this enhancement, like previously how it used to be, whenever we start Kubernetes clusters with multiple engines gets initiated from a pipeline, we used to wait until the entire pipeline is completed to kill all the ideal engines. Now what the enhancement what we did is, so if let's say there is a scenario where you have triggered 4 engines from a pipeline. Out of 4, only one engine is running for one of the tasks, which is taking a little longer than expected, or it is the ideal behavior of it, but the rest of the engines doesn't have any tasks to run. Those are like idle, sitting there idle, consuming your infrastructure and operational cost. So now the flexibility, now we have enhanced this feature that if there is any engines, Kubernetes engines, which are idle sitting without any tasks, right? Those will be auto killed at the moment those engine doesn't have any tasks to be executed. So that it reduces your infrastructure and operational cost. We make use of your cloud resources, utilize optimized way. All this flexibility will come to you. And move on to the next item is a consolidated HTML report. So we used to hear a lot of customers complaining that the reporting flexibility was little down when compared to these BI tools or a few other applications. So now we came up with a flexibility to download a self-contained HTML for all our pipelines in a bulk or individually. So this flexibility will give you you can download that HTML and you can share it with your team. And we do have flexibility to share it from our application, or if you want, you can download it and share the respective screens to your team. So this HTML, whatever we download, has all the stuff inbuilt, self-contained, where user can see, analyze, make a root cause analysis. You have the flexibility to filter, navigate between one pipeline to other pipeline and stuff. So let me take you to the downloaded pipeline HTML, and I'll show you how it looks as. So this flexibility will come under the report section, where you can go and go under the pipelines section. So if you go to the list view, you will have the flexibility to download this either a PDF, Excel, or summary HTML or detailed HTML. So I'll go with the detailed HTML first. So once you click on this one, it generates the report and downloads it in the form of a zip, and that zip will be present in our local. Once we extract it, this is how the zip looks like. So if you see, right, so I have downloaded 4 pipelines here. There will be a summary HTML and there will be a set of folders underneath that summary, which represents one pipeline for a folder. So when I open this summary HTML, right, so if you see, right, this shows you a high-level summary what many pipelines we have downloaded based on the filter condition, how many tasks it holds up, and how many failed, how many errors, what's the pass rate, and things stuff. And you can see the list of pipelines, what is available in the downloaded file. If you expand it, it shows down what are all the tasks you have in it, and it gives you a summary message of it. How you see it in UI, right? In UI, you have only flexibility to see one pipeline at a time, but now you have flexibility to see multiple pipelines all at once within self-contained HTML, which can be shared. And if you wanted to drill down and see in detailed results of let's say a particular task, right? You can just click on that, which takes you to the subsequent HTML of the detailed task report, where you can see in that particular data flow. This is a data flow task. You will see what are all components it has, what is the status of the component, and what is the sample. It holds up the sample data as well. And if you wanted to see the data compare results, everything, the donuts and the sample mismatches, matches, everything will be part of the self-contained HTML. So and this can be shared across your teams through email or through our application as well, which will give you more flexibility for reporting. Okay. That's on the HTML side. Let me go back to the presentation. Next, we move on to the Agentic AI enhancements from Datagaps side. As part of 3.0, we are coming up with coolest features, I can say, like Datagaps MCP and Agentic Workflows. This stuff we are coming up. So MCP is, everyone knows now within this AI world, MCP is a key for having all these agents automate our processes, right? So we are also coming up with our own MCP, which can be integrated within the application or outside of our application through different AI tools. This gives you the flexibility of using AI without getting into our application as well through your AI tools by just integrating our MCP. Moving on to the next item, so the Agentic Workflows. This was the one I was talking about, the coolest feature which we enhanced as part of 3.0. So here, so how it helps is like any task, any boring or regular task which we do day to day, which takes a lot of man hours, right? That can be automated through AI workflows. This AI workflows is embedded with agentic AI assisted or agent assisted. So you can see, you will be having a set of nodes, and you will have agents which can be defined using your user prompts and instructions, or skills which can be defined, or MCP servers which can be integrated, and you can define it in the form of a flow chart wherein the workflow makes sure that job whatever is defined is executed. Okay, let me take you to the application. I can show you how this works and how things will be. So you can see that option under the ellipses, AI workflows. So where you will have an option like the one I was talking about, skills and all. So you can define your skills here, which can be attached in the workflows for an agent. So I can define my own skills, which does what it does, how it has to do, and all. I can define n number of skills which can be attached into the workflows. And next comes to the servers, MCP servers. Here you can connect an internal MCP server, which is our Datagaps MCP, which helps the workflows to define features within Datagaps, or you can integrate external applications which can connect and does the processing for us. And you can even see the tools, what are all the tools that present within the MCP, and you will have an option to control the tool calls, whether to allow and like approve every time, or to ask the approvals, or to block the tool calls. So that's how this MCP servers and skills can be created. I'll just show you how a workflow can be created. It's like simple, like add a workflow with name and description stuff. And this is one of our workflow which I created, where I pull in the documents from one of the ADLS location, where I'll get a list of files which I loop over to extract the content and create data flows out of it by understanding the ETL mappings and all, generate the queries and create data flows. So I'll just show you how it executed by going into the previous runs of it. So if you see, right, when I execute this one, it executes sequentially, node by node. So the ETL document node executed, it loaded the details, and it went and pulled in the documents what is present in it. And next, if you see, right, so this particular file location which I have provided has 3 files. So what happens next is these 3 files came in, and it will loop over all the 3 files one by one. Every time it goes with a path, like one file at a time, and it goes and extracts the content, and then next it creates a data flow and comes out. So if you see here, right, so out of these 3 files, it went over each one of them, and it creates a data flow and provides you a data flow ID back to you. So I can even show you how it created. So this is a data flow which got created through workflow without any manual intervention. As a workflow is a one-time setup which I can do it. Once that is done, you can see it created a file source, it created a JDBC, it has the transformations, whatever need to be applied based on the ETL, and it even came up with the mappings with the unique ID identified automatically. That's how this workflow helps. Any regular task, any usual task which we manually do can be automated through workflows. Okay, going back to the presentation, then the next feature is global AI assistant with MCP. So we have this assistant in tools like version 2.0 as well. There we used to have flexibility to get the data from repository and get the help from our help documentation how to use Datagaps application. Now we have extended this flexibility to integrate our local MCP, wherein you can even play with it. Like you can, if you want, you can just ask a question like how many data flows have failed for the past 7 days. It comes up with a result, and if it has a flexibility of coming up with an interactive dashboard as well. And not only that, it's not only the getting the stats or things, like even you can execute a data flow. Let's say if you see this one, right, I just gave run this data flow, and it executed me and gave me a run ID where I can go and see that that thing got executed. If you wanted to, let me show you. So the run ID which came up here is 38. If I go and see, right, this run ID was executed, by my AI assistant by having access to our MCP. So that's how things works with global AI assistant. And next comes to the observability piece. So this is one of the coolest feature and most asked feature from the customers. Like, how do I know if something went wrong? What is a root cause analysis? Is there any way you people can identify and share us things back, report us back, so that we can go and correct it? If there is anything running more than the expected time, how do I know? Like, is there any notification sort of thing? All these sort of things was coming up. Now, along with the notifications, we have enhanced this feature to support AI-driven observability, so that it looks into that, it analyzes it, and comes up with a root cause analysis and provides the solutions to the end user. As well as you will be seeing all the push notifications which is coming in. So the push notifications appears here, as you see, right? A notification with red dot, in the sense it has some notifications popping up here. If you see here, right, I have two notifications. One is running over threshold. This is like a pipeline or a pipeline which is running over over the time which is desired to execute. So if you see, right, it has its own stuff where it shows like, okay, this is how it has to run, this is where it is taking, it provides you the root cause analysis and suggestions and steps. This is when something which is continuously running beyond the expected timelines. And there will be a case where something went wrong without your knowledge, or sometimes a pipeline which is to execute for long periods suddenly fails until unless user comes and says they doesn't know what is happening. So now we have that notification flexibility within the UI where user can see a notification. This will pull in that respective pipeline which has any errors and gives you the error analysis. Okay, the particular task in this pipeline got errored out, and it will come up with the root cause and the suggestions what can make this thing run successfully again. That's how this observability for pipelines comes into picture with notifications. Then I move on to the product updates. So when it comes to product updates, we have like three sections like ETL Validator, BI Validator, DQM, and going forward we'll be having TDM and other stuff as well. So I'll be covering the first part of the ETL Validator, wherein the first enhancement which we did was auto detect unique key in data compare and multi-data compare components. So if you see here, right, so previously we used to ask end user to select the unique key for having a perfect comparison between source and target, and users will be having a difficult time to analyze. If it is a IDs and all, it is a straightforward one, but there will be sort of composite keys wherein multiple keys will be combined of those keys will be a unique value for us. So it will be very hard for the end users to identify it. Now we came up with the flexibility to identify the distinct percentage of each of the columns. So auto detect uniqueness will give you the distinct percentages of all the columns, and user will have the flexibility to select the combinations whatever feels unique out of the provided distinct percentages. And along with that, we have another flexibility where user can check the uniqueness. So let's say I have given all the percentages, and let's say it is 100, 20, 40, 50, like that. Now our user selected 3 or 4 columns as a unique key, and he doesn't know whether it is a unique combination or not. So this check uniqueness will give that flexibility to the end user. So for the given selected unique key columns, we'll identify is that combination and in the entire data is unique or not. That we can just get it based on a simple click here. So that's one answer. Next, moving on to push down queries for Parquet files. So generally, any file data we read in Datagaps application, we doesn't have flexibility to read a sample or read a limit, like read few columns out of it, and or read only certain number of records from the given file. That flexibility files doesn't support explicitly. So, but Parquet has a flexibility to push down and like write down our own filter conditions or select the columns which can be fetched from the files. So we enhanced our file component for Parquet connections. wherein you will have the flexibility to see what are all columns present in that file and what columns you wanted to execute for the respective run. So in this case, you'll see the list of columns present in the Parquet file. You can select what columns to be pulled out from the file when executing, and you will have flexibility to even define the filter condition. So where you can write no conditions or any conditions, wherein you can define it so that the data which we extract that from file will be limited based on the condition. Moving on to the next item, masking of API headers. So this is one of the compliance and governance requirement which we are doing. Let's say if few of the API calls access tokens and some secret values over the headers. So till now we used to have it as a plain text. Now we extended it to support like mask them whenever user enters it. You have flexibility to mask it then and there itself. And from there on, it is masked across applications and utilized internally without exposing the actual values. That's how this masking helps in the API component. So that's from my side. I'll take a pause here, and the next items and the upcoming roadmap, my colleague Pradeep will take over. Pradeep, it's all up to you.
So thank you, Ramesh. So hello everyone. So I'll take you through the latest updates on the BI validated side. So we have introduced a few enhancements focused on making the BI validation more automated. So reducing the manual efforts and helping teams managing a larger BI environment more effectively. So I will quickly cover the problem statements for each feature and then show how we are addressing it through the product. So let's start with the DAX to SQL conversion. So here, when we want to validate a Power BI report data, right, against the source database example. So we usually need to create a separate database component and manually write the SQL queries for each visual, right? So if a report has many visuals, so this becoming a time consuming and also requires a tester to understand the report logic and the SQL logics are correct, right? So with our AI based DAX to SQL conversion, the tool automatically extract the DAX query behind each Power BI visual and converts into a equivalent SQL query. So the SQL is then executed against the source database, and then the results are automatically compared with the Power BI visual data. So here, instead of manually creating a SQL for every visual, the tool automates the complete validation flow. So this helps reduce the setup effort and it speed up the report validation, right? And make it easier to identify and investigate the data, the mismatches, right? Also between the Power BI and the source system. So let me quickly look at the demo. So I will go to the data flows and I'll open a BI wizard. Okay. So here I will select the validation type as SQL compare. And I'll select the required data source and database connections. So I'll import this. So here you can see the list of all the workspaces in the models. So I will go to the model. So I will select on the page. Now I'll click on next. So now here we have the generate SQL option. So once we click here, the tool analyzes the visuals and extracts the DAX query and generates a corresponding SQL using AI. Yeah, here it is. So now you can see, right? Here on the left-hand panel, you can see it. So this is related to the DAX for the visual, and the right hand, which you are seeing is the the SQL for the corresponding query. So here, if you want it, so we can preview the data, right? So here you can see it. So here itself, you can compare the data between the visual and the DAX. So next, if you click on the next, that will take to the visual mapping step. Here we can see the visual data set on one side and the generated SQL data set on the other side. So, and if you click on next, so this is the columns are mapped between both the data set. It is our similar to our regular the wizard flow. And the next one here also we have some additional options. And once here, so now if you click on the generate, right? So now if I go back to the data flow page, so now here you can see, right? So there is a two components got created. So one is on the BI component and the another one is the report data compare component. I think most of you, already know about the BI component. So how it works, how it gets the data. So coming to the report data compare. So report data compare is a new component. So that is reusable comparison component we are introducing. So it is not limited to only Power BI versus the database validation. So we can use a different source comparison connections like such as JDBC and other supported plugins, and the compare the data sets from the different systems, right? So coming to the data set, if you come to the data set section, so for each visual, you can see the corresponding data in the up, and the SQL for the visual you can see in the down, right? So this gives us a simply the side-by-side comparison between the report data and the source data. So after that is just a column mapping section, and so once you go to the result section, so here you can see that the high level what is the data set, on the source level what is the DB set, and what is the comparison, right? So here you can see so which is matched and which is unmatched, right? Which is on one side A and on side B. So all details you can see here. So overall, the report data compare provides a flexible and simple, it's a simplified way, to compare the data set, across the different sources. So this is about DAX to SQL and the report data compare. So next, we'll go to the auto render of the reports and column in the BI wizard. So when we use normal BI wizard and select the multiple report pages, so traditionally the user has to wait for each page to fully load before the data set is created, right? So then user has to move to the next page and repeat the same process. So if the report has many pages, so this becomes a time consuming and requires a lot of manual interactions, right? So to address this, so we introduced a auto-generated mapping. So with this option, a tool automatically renders each selected report pages and creates the required data set and generates a column mapping without user manually opening the report, one by one. So this it significantly reduces the setup time and minimize the manual efforts required for the column mapping. So I will very quickly show to that. So I'll just go here and I will select, and I will just select data compare. I'll select the data sources what we want. So now I come to the workspace, and I've just dragged. Sorry, I've not. I don't want all the pages. So I will do this. So now here you can see, right? So what I was talking about is this auto generated mapping, right? So now if I click on this, so now you can see it, right? So everything, it automatically loads and it maps automatically. We are not doing anything manual here. Automatically it open the pages, source and target, and map and create the data set automatically, right? So once it is done, then automatically the next step, you can go for the column mapping and we can generate the data flows. So this is about the auto generation mapping. So coming to the next is the SSO login. Previously, users accessing the Nexus supported data sources had to authenticate using a username password. For example, for enterprise customers using a centralized SSO, right? This meant a additional login method had to be maintained separately. So to simplify the authentication experience, so we added a SSO support in Nexus. So when user is enabled in the Datagaps suite, the security configurations, so user can authenticate through the SSO instead of entering a separate credentials. So we have also added a SSO on authentication type for the supported Nexus data sources. So next on the bulk analyzers, also called as a multi-analyzer. So here the problem statement, what we have is previously, if we wanted to analyze a multiple Power BI models, right? So we have to create and run the analyzers separately for each model. For the customers with many workspaces and they have the many schematic models, so this becomes a time consuming for them. So with the new multi-analyzer capability, so users can select multiple workspaces and multiple models at the same time and run the analyzers in bulk. So tool automatically creates and execute the required analyzer through the pipeline. So instead of configuring each model individually, so this really helps accelerate the analysis across a large BI environments, and it significantly reduces the manual setup efforts. I'll show you quickly the demo. Okay, so this is our BI analyzer page, right? So here you can see that multi-model analyzer. I'll select this. So you can give whatever the name you want here for just a prefix one. First, I will select the required source and the workspaces which I want. I will select the 2 workspaces I want to. Then click on next. So here the tool, it lists all the schematic models available in that workspaces, right? So here you can see it. So also we can also identify which models are already analyzed. So meaning, so their metadata has already captured. So for the models still need analysis, I can simply select or drag the multiple models at the same time and create the analyzer in bulk. For example, I will drag it. I'll create. Now, at this stage, so tool created a analyzer shell. The metadata is collected only when we execute them. So once I click on next, here now I can provide the pipeline name what I want, and I can select whatever the folder it wants. So then I can choose the run analyzer. So here the pipeline then runs the analyzer and start collecting the schematic model and the metadata, and the schematic model metadata and the report level metadata. Both, it start collecting all the data. So once the execution is completed, so if I come back to the analyzer, so now here you can see that. So whatever the models, suppose if the pipeline runs complete, so all the metadata related to the visual level and related to the metadata, so everything will be captured. So instead of creating and running each analyzer individual, so this multi-analyzer allows to perform the analysis in bulk, so which is especially useful for the large Power BI environments. That's a cool one. So now coming to the next, so here we have two parts. One is on the drill down filters. So in Power BI, not only the Power BI, so in a Power BI or the Tableau, so users often drill down from summary page to the detail page, right? So when a filter or action filter is applied on the main page, the same filter context should continue on the detail page as well. So previously, during the validations, these drill downs or action filters were not carried actually forward correctly. So which could lead to validating the child page with a different data context. So now with this release, now a tool now supports a drill down filter. So any filter or any action filter applied on the parent page is automatically carried forward to the child and detail page. So during the validations, so this ensures both the pages are validated with the same filter context and improve the accuracy of the testing for the drill down scenario. And to the next one, it's the parameters. So like similarly to the filters, Tableau dashboard can also have a parameters. So that changes the report results, right? So previously we could generate multiple combination for the filters, but the same capability was not available for the parameters. So now we have extended that same combination, the approach to the Tableau parameter as well. So using the filter data set, a tool can generate a multiple parameter combinations. So these parameters can then attach to the report and apply it during the validations. So based on the each parameter combination, the report is executed and the corresponding results are captured and validated. So just I will high level, I will quickly show it how it will be. So here you can see, right, this is the filter data set where here you can see the parameters. So for Tableau parameters, we have created the combinations, multiple combinations for that. At the similar times, if you go to the component level, and if you want to apply this, right, so you can select the parameters and you can apply it. So based on the applied results, automatically the results take the parameters and it will apply in the result set and it will give the results. Okay, so this is about the drill down filters and the parameters. I'll quickly go on for the data quality monitor. So previously, like the managing a large number of data quality rules required user to handle them individually, so which could take more time when they are working with the many rules. So now we have added a bulk operations for a data rule, which including a bulk export, a bulk import, and the bulk delete. So this makes a rule management easier and reduce the efforts required, like when user need to remove or reuse or clean up the multiple rules. Right. So yeah, so that's about the BI validated side. And coming to the upcoming platform features, what we are going to have in the next release, the automation, the autonomous and the data pipelines analytical test, right? So here the AI agents can automatically create, execute, and validate the data pipelines and the analytical test. So they can detect the failure and recommend the actions wherever it is possible. So this helps reduce the manual interventions, and it accelerates the validations. And next one is about the Delta Lake connectivity. Like the data gaps will provide the native connectivity to the Delta Lake for profiling and comparison and the validations. So here user can validate the lakehouse data directly, without creating any the staging tables or the manual extracts. So this simplifies the data quality and the validation workflows across the modern lakehouse environments. So coming to the next one, the Databricks AI BI support. So now data gaps is last time we have extended our support to the Looker, and this time so data gaps is extending support to the this Databricks, its validation and the governance capability to the dashboards. This enables the team to validate the dashboard data and analytical directly on top of the Databricks Lakehouse. So the next one is the AIO integration to the suite. So Datagaps provides a native integration with AIO for managing the testing activities. So user can map a test cycles and test cases with AIO and publish the execution results directly back to the AIO. So this helps keep the test management and validation synchronized in one flow, one workflow. So coming to the next upcoming on the product feature side, so we have PIA classifications. So automatically identifies the classification sensitive data such as PI across the different data sources. So this helps organizations strengthen the privacy compliance and apply the masking wherever it is required. It reduces the manual efforts, including identifying the sensitive information. So that's about the PI. And coming to the data catalog, it provides a centralized and searchable view of data and the BI assets across the organization. So this improves the discoverability, the governance, and the reuse of trusted data and the reports. So it also helps teams quickly understand what data is available, so where it is used, right? So those things and all. So coming to the end-to-end lineage to the BI layer, so here providing visibility of data movement from the source system all the way to the BI report or to the dashboard level. So this helps team to perform the impact analysis and quickly identify the root cause of the data issues. And it also improves the governance by showing how the data is transformed and consumed across the platform. And coming to the last one is the BI governance. So BI governance, it help organize the organizations manage and monitor their overall BI environment from a single place. So it provides a visibility into a performance like usage, the capacity usage, or the governance related risk. So this helps improve the control and reduce the operational issues, and it ensures the BI assets are reliable and it's well managed. So that covers the key updates from the BI validator side. So with that, I'll hand over to the Raj. Raj, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, Ramesh, for a very insightful session and taking us through a very exciting upcoming features for the next release, which is 2026.3.0, the DataOps Suite version. Now we have few questions from our audience. So we will be moving on to the Q&A section. So our first question is observability time bound, or how does the AI help in identifying the anomalies?
Yeah, let me take that, Raj. So it's not like a time bound or there is a configuration where user needs to define, like based on the previous run duration, previous history of all the runs, what is available for the respective pipeline, right? So it analyzes over that, has a sort of buffer and start sending out notifications as it goes on executing for longer periods, let's say you'll have like, let's say it is running for ideally if it has to run for 1 hour, now it is taking 1 hour 25 minutes. You'll be getting a medium or low notification. If it is running for 2 hours, you'll get a medium. If it is going beyond 2.5 hours, then it goes out to a critical notification which is popping up for the user to go and look into it. So it's not a time bomb. It continuously observes over the pipeline and comes up with the notifications.
Thank you. And for the next question, we have from BI side. It says, can Datagaps validate Power BI visual data against the source database without manually writing SQL for every visual?
Yeah. Okay, let me take down that. Yes, actually. So the tool extract the DAX behind each visuals, and it uses AI to convert it into the SQL, and whatever the SQL results are the compared with the Power BI visual data automatically actually. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Pradeep. And for the next question we have is, can DataOps MCP Server be accessed through Claude or Copilot agent? Sorry, client?
Yeah, Raj. So DataOps MCPs support both internal and external integration. So internally, we'll make use of it for end user flexibility and usability. Along with that, it can be integrated through Cloud, GitHub Copilot Desktop, or through their IDs as well if they are using with any of the LLMs, right? Through VS Code also, it can be integrated.
All right. Now, for the interest of time, let's take our final question, which is on the BI side. How does DataGaps reduce manual effort when validating reports with multiple pages?
Yeah. So with the new option, right? So auto generate mapping. So the tool automatically renders the selected pages and create the data sets, and it generate the required column mapping. So without user opening the every page manually.
All right. Thank you, Pradeep. Now, with that question, we have reached towards our end section of our webinar. Now, before we close this session off, I would like to iterate 2 points, which you can already see in your screen. The first point is our DataOps Suite 2026.3.0 version is available for download starting from August 26th. And you can scan the QR code, which is available on the screen, to get to know the features more in detail. And secondly, if you have any personalized question, or if you want to take a free demo of our product, or if you have any other queries which you want them to be answered, please do reach out to contact@datagaps.com. Now, as a closing comment, thank all the audience for joining this session today, and most importantly, choosing DataGaps. We look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact@datagaps.com. Request a free demo, scan the QR code below. Thank you.